Okay, so starting off with the supplies we need for this project, I've laid them all out here. We're going to need a lamp base. Mine is just a pink one from Goodwill. Doesn't really matter what color it is because we're going to paint it. This one was only $1.50, so you can usually find some that are pretty inexpensive or just use something you have laying around. Onto spray paint, I have a spray paint and a primer. I picked these up from Hobby Lobby. I just used 40% off coupons, so they were a pretty good deal, and I just picked up a white primer. So for the lamp shade, this one is also from Goodwill. It was only 50 cents. It's just a paper one, but it doesn't really matter because we are going to be covering that. And we are going to be covering it with this chevron fabric today. This was also from Hobby Lobby. And once again, 40% off coupon. You're also going to need a glue gun with glue sticks, some scissors, and a pencil to do some tracing with. Okay, so unfortunately my camera didn't capture the part where I was cutting out the fabric for the lampshade, but basically just what I did was like kind of a rough trace and then cut out some fabric that I knew would cover it when I wrapped it around. So that is what I did, and right now I am just kind of figuring out how I want it to adjust it to make sure it's nice and taut on the lampshade. You can also use like clips or safety pins if that helps you kind of keep it in place a little bit better, if you think it's going to be too difficult for you to just kind of hold and figure out as you go. So now we are just going to glue down the fabric with our hot glue gun. It's been plugged in for a while, so it is ready to go. And make sure, if you've never used a hot glue gun before, to be careful not to burn your fingers. If you have to use some kind of a glove or something, that's fine. Just make sure you're not going to touch the glue, which for this it's pretty easy because you're just wrapping the fabric over it. And just make sure that your fabric is nice and taut and there's not slack around it, so it actually fits the lampshade nicely and then there's not any awkward gaps. And you can just trim the fabric around the top opening to make it a little bit easier for you to glue it down. One simple way to make the fabric obey you is just kind of cut it into strips. That way you don't have an excess amount of fabric, you don't have to accidentally trim it too short or anything. So yeah, just make little snips in it and that way it just works all together better. So after you've finished covering your lamp with the fabric, gluing it down, this is what you end up with. And of course you're going to have some areas that you're going to have to trim. If you didn't trim them all along the way, just make sure that you finish it off the back. I just cut a strip of fabric and glued it on there, glued it to both sides. And then I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the extra and make sure that everything is glued down. There aren't any parts that the fabric is coming up at, and that is just basically finished off. So here's the lampshade completed in its glory. Now we're going to go ahead and paint the base. We're going to start off with the primer. Like I said, I'm just using a white primer to cover up the pink. And I did go ahead and tape off the fixture and the cord a little bit so they would not be completely coated in paint. You don't have to do that, or you can also just take the actual fixtures out of your lamp if you want to, and then that way you guarantee that you don't have any paint on them. Now that the primer is dry, you can go ahead and spray paint it whatever color you want. I'm just using the color Blue Ocean Breeze, and it is from Krylon, in case you are wondering. And once you've finished painting your lamp and it has completely dried, you can go ahead and add the lamp shade. And voila, you have a brand new lamp.